Hey, what's up guys? Today I'm doing an unboxing and first look on the Tigrao Adashori Japanese made boxing gloves. So check it out. Hey guys, Carlo here. Today I'm very excited to be doing an unboxing and first look on the Tigrao Adashori Japanese made boxing gloves. I finally received these after waiting for about 3 months. I initially placed my order back in the beginning of October. So a little over 3 months. I decided to get these in 16-ounce lace-up in white, metallic blue, and metallic gold colorway. I'm from the Bay, so I'm a big fan of the Warriors and Niners, if you can't tell already. But I decided to go with that colorway. Cost-wise, once you convert this from yen to US dollars, it was about 275 US dollars. Now there's some variables with that depending on where you live, the kind of currency you use, and obviously the currency exchange rate at that time, which always changes. But generally speaking, to give you guys an example, or should I say give you guys an idea, they're gonna be about probably around $275, around that number. Especially if you're here in the United States. The other thing that's a big variable with that is the type of leather you decide to go with, the design, because he does offer different metallics and obviously the regular solid colors, but there's other special metallic colors that you can choose as well. Now, the best way to reach out to him is through email. That's what I did. And then there is a little bit of a language barrier because he does speak in Japanese, as well as the emails that you do receive from him, or at least for me it was, when I received the emails through Gmail, everything was in a Japanese font. So you will have to convert that over to whatever language you speak. If you're English, there is a little bit of barrier, but nothing that you can't use like Google Translate to translate for you. You tell him what you're looking for. You can do lace up or Velcro. And then from there, he'll send you basically like an illustration of a glove and a number system basically saying where on the glove, what color you want. And then he also has a color template or a color palette, should I say, that from there you can choose. If there's not a color that you like on there, then I'm sure you can ask him and he'll let you know if he has it available. So that's essentially how you order it. But from there, you basically mock the glove up. He'll send you the final illustration, and then from there, he'll tell you how much it costs, and then you send payment. I paid using PayPal. I had no issues with payment, and then from there he gives you a lead time on how long it takes for you to receive your gloves. He'll, just depending on his workload, maybe he's super busy, or maybe he's a little bit, he has some more time on his hands, so he can get them out quicker. But he basically said to me anywhere between I think it was 6 to 8 weeks. But it was the holiday season this past couple months, so I expected for it to probably go a little bit slower just because of the holidays, and just generally speaking, things are a little bit slower during that time. So enough of the talking, let's go ahead and cut this open and take a look at the gloves. I just wanted to give you guys kind of a quick rundown on how that process went. Now, these gloves were originally, at least for me, when I first found out about the Adashori gloves, which was what I found out about first, was Adashori before I found out about Tigrao. And it's kind of a very similar situation with 1v1 and their relationship with Adidas, or what they used to do with Adidas. Was basically the gentleman that makes Tigrao has a contract with Adidas to make his gloves for Adidas, and that's how a lot of people found out about these gloves, because it's a Japanese manufactured glove in Japan. It's not Winnings. It has more of a unique look to it, and obviously people are interested in that. It brings a lot of conversation, a lot of thought, like, oh wow, there's another glove outside of Asami and Winning and some of the other smaller Japanese brands that's made in Japan that looks really nice and looks like it has a lot of potential. I think the first professional boxer I saw with them was the Filipino boxer Mercito Hesta, who had a pair of red, blue and white. I believe they were Filipino flag colorway Adashori boxing gloves, and I think he got that through a friend through Adidas. He was able to kind of get hooked up. And a lot of times pro fighters, they definitely get hooked up with certain kind of gear. But that's kind of what initially got me interested in Adashori. I then come to find out that Tigrao, its own brand, basically its own home brand, is who makes the gloves for Adashori. So and it comes at a less expensive cost. I believe the Adashori gloves are usually around $300 to $400, where I paid $275 shipped for the Tigrao glove. So you're essentially getting the same glove without just the Adidas branding on it. And you can pick your colors and all that too as well. So go ahead and open the box so you guys can see it. It does have a Japanese box. This is Japan Post. And then you can see it comes in this plastic bag. Put it out of the box. Doesn't come with anything else. That's it. It has just a regular, it's like a plastic trash bag that it comes in. And then from here, it's all wrapped up in another bag. A lot of plastic. And then it has like some type of tape that has it taped off. So go ahead and open that up. Slide that off. Pull that out. Pull this guy out. All right, finally got the gloves out. Let you guys look at it for the first time. There you have it. There's the left glove. All right, and here is the right glove. And my first thoughts is, man, these are a beautiful looking glove. The blue on here is indeed metallic, but it does have an actual patent leather or type of polyurethane cover over it. Very similar like what the Bayonettas have on the back of the wrist support. So you have that on the back of the wrist support. You also have that same patent material, which is very soft. I mean, it doesn't feel hard, it doesn't feel rigid. You have that same material on the split palm on this side as well for that blue metallic. The gold metallic on here looks really good as well. It's not your standard metallic. I'll kind of give you guys, and hopefully the video can capture it. But it almost has like a forged metallic look. And when I say forged, if you guys are familiar with like carbon fiber typically if you use it on cars or whatever, usually kind of has kind of like that hexagon, kind of like small hexagon look with the carbon fiber. Where forged carbon has, almost looks like broken glass, if that makes sense. And that metallic on here has that look, and depending on the angle you look at it, it kind of has kind of like a, almost like a like an iridescent, if that makes sense, or kind of like a rainbow shine to it, like a metallic rainbow shine, depending on the angle you look. So that's really cool as well. Again, that blue metallic, gold piping, standard white laces. The ends don't have plastic tips; they just have a knot tied at the very end of the white laces, but they are round laces, they're not flat. You also notice that it has this made in Japan patch right here that has stitching around it as well. Proudly made in Japan. Grip bar on here is nice and large and very, very stiff, very hard. I would assume that's probably like some type of like rubber tube rather than a piece of foam that he uses for the grip bar. More of that same metallic blue leather on the thumb right there as well. I'll show you guys the back of the wrist support. It says Tigrao. You also have that Tigrao logo, which are two axes that come to a point at the bottom. The logo on here is like a matte finish and it's in gold. It's not shiny at all. You also have the Tigrao vertically that says the weight 16 ounces on the inside of the wrist support. Stitching is double stitched on the inner part of the thumb. You also have an attached thumb in black here at the very tip of the thumb. More white stitching throughout. You have double stitching there. And another unique feature, which I don't know how I feel about right now, but I guess we'll find out later down the road. And I've seen these in other photos of the other Tigrao gloves, is that he stitches on the actual like finger compartment. And I'm not too sure why he puts stitching right here. You can see it right there at the very end of the fingertip. It's all stitched in. So I'm not too sure what that's about. I'll have to ask him, but he does have some stitching there. Maybe so the foam on the inside of the finger compartment stays in place, stays put, and doesn't pull away from the leather. I'm not too sure, but he does have some stitching there at the end of the finger compartment. And if I can recall, some of the other Tigrao gloves I saw, and I'll have to look back at the photos, did have some stitching around this portion of the punch surface of the glove as well. Thankfully mine don't, but they did have some stitching there. But I'm kind of curious on why he decides to put stitching right there on the finger compartment. But just looking at the gloves, they look amazing. From an aesthetic standpoint, definitely worth the wait. These look awesome. You can see the right glove looks pretty much identical. That has the Tigrao. The white leather on here, I'd say, has kind of a semi-gloss finish and has a little bit of a texture to it. It's not super wrinkly. It's not like super soft. There's a little bit of a kind of a rigidness to the leather that they use on this glove. And then the foam itself is layered foam. I would say that the consistency of the foam is right there in the middle. It's not super dense and stiff to where you push down. It just feels like you're pushing down on a rock. It's not super soft either to where it's too pillowy too, where you feel like, I won't say pillowy, but too soft to where you can like push your finger all the way through and it just feels like there's no resistance in the foam. I'd say it's right there in the middle in terms of the density of the foam from my initial push down on the actual foam surface right there. In terms of sizing, 16 ounces, I'd say it's pretty much on point for a 16 ounce glove. You know, if I were to compare these to a Winning 16 ounce glove, I'd say that these probably are a little bit larger than Winnings at the same weight class of 16 ounces, but they're not huge. They're not huge 16 ounce gloves. I'd say they're pretty much right in the middle. Let's go ahead and put my hand in here. Oh, let's not forget the liner. The liner on the inside is kind of a soft canvas liner, and it's almost like a brown color on the inside where the liner's at. And let me undo the laces real quick, and then we can take a look and see how the inside of the glove feels as well. So let me undo those laces, loosen them up a little bit. And I can slide my hand in here and just see how these gloves feel. So yeah, so it does have a soft canvas liner that is through the entire glove. Now that my hand is completely inside the glove, that same canvas extends throughout the entire hand compartment all the way to the fingers as well. And again, with my fingers now being in the thin compartment, I'm not too sure what that stitching is for, but it's there. But the overall feeling about the gloves when I put my hands in here, tighten the laces down a little bit, is they feel very comfortable. I'd say that they're semi-broken in. There's a little bit of a stiffness to the foam. So the more I use these gloves, it'll probably soften that foam up to make it a little bit more broken in. They're not extremely stiff, but they're not super broken in either. I'd say they're right there in the middle in terms of how broken in they feel. The opening right here on the palm is pretty large. So I like that, and the fact that if you do have bigger, thicker hands, you won't have any discomfort on the palm. So far the thumb feels really good. The positioning feels nice. I feel like this may be an area that might get a little bit tight just from my initial, feelings of how tight this piping is, but we'll have to see with my hand wraps on. But overall, I mean, when I make a fist, it has a really nice deep finger compartment. Not too wide, it's not too shallow. I don't feel like my fingers are kind of crunching against each other. And the position of the thumb is perfect, as well as the depth of the thumb. So even when I make a fist and I roll my fingers into a fist, it doesn't pull down on that tip. And the attached thumb does a pretty decent job of keeping that tip of your thumb tucked in and not flaring out. So overall, these feel very, very nice. And you can see it does have pretty nice flat punch surface. And I feel like, again, once I break these gloves in a little bit more, this is gonna feel really comfortable. Let's go ahead and put the left glove on. See if it feels any difference. Left glove pretty much feels the same way. Very comfortable throughout the entire glove. I'd say that that liner, that soft canvas liner, feels very rugged, if that makes sense. It doesn't feel like a cheap liner. It almost feels really thick too. Now that I kind of feel it, it feels like a very thick liner. Some of those polyester satin liners you get, they feel kind of thin. Like if you were to kind of graze it with like a pen or like the edge of something, it could tear that liner. But this liner feels very, very thick. It feels like a very thick liner that's going to be durable, especially if you sweat a lot and you're putting these gloves through their paces. I definitely think that liner is going to hold up. And now that I feel it on both fingers, there's actually a piece of felt that covers the stitching that is between the gold and the blue, that is right between where the white meets the gold and the blue, that stitching right here. And you can feel a piece of felt that covers that. So big ups to them for putting that felt there to make it more comfortable. But same thing with the left glove. It's gonna definitely take some time to break in. I'd say that they're semi-broken in. They're not super stiff, but they're not super soft as well. But that opening on the left glove feels good as well. To be determined on the piping, on how that feels, especially with hand wraps on. Thumb placement is perfect, especially when I make a fist. You'll notice that the left glove kind of pulls just a little bit compared to the right. And again, it's not going to be perfect. These are handmade gloves, so you know all the dimensions are pretty much the same, but you might have a little bit of variance when it comes to that. But overall, very comfortable. Definitely excited to see how these perform for pretty much everything in the gym. So I'll be using these gloves part of my rotation for the next several weeks before I get a real good idea in terms of how these are quality-wise, performance. You guys already know the deal. And then I'll do my review. But so far, super satisfied with how these turned out. I think they look amazing. Now it's really the big question of how well they perform and if they're worth it in the end. So if you guys have any questions or comments, you guys know what to do. Put them down below in the comments box. I'll put the link in the description box where you can find these Tigrao Adashori Japanese made boxing gloves. And I'll see you guys later. Take care.